Hello everyone, we're back again for another release note video. Today we're going to be talking about version 2.133 and version 2.134. I am once again joined by the beautiful Morgan from HaloPSA. So, hello Morgan, good day. Thank you again for sparing some time for ourselves and the community.
Hey Connor, how's it going? Good to be back.
There is something we need to address though before we start today. We've had some community feedback, Morgan. And
Okay.
apparently they want to hear more from you rather than me. Now I can't understand that really, but that was the feedback. And I say community feedback. That was just you, Paul. So pointing you out directly. So Morgan, I'm going to give you more of the stage today, which is fine because I'm still a little bit sick. So today's not that exciting. It's a bit of a letdown. This 2.134. There's loads of nice quality of life things in there, but nothing that I'm gonna get dead excited about. But as we said, we're going to go through these release notes version by version. Again, there's two today, but you'll see why in a minute. Version by version, and just point out anything that I think is going to be of interest, as will Morgan, to hopefully give you all an insight into the release notes. So with that being said, let me just change the scene over to our HaloPSA environment, like so. Let me just hide this. There is a button I can press to hide this. Hide floating meeting controls. I'll zoom in a little bit, make it full screen. And there we go. So Morgan, as I'm giving you the stage today, where should we begin? 2.133?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So in the last catch up, we had a look at the latest stable release, and we're going to try and go through these version by version. 1.33 should be relatively quick. There's only one change that was added to that version. And that is, as we see here, the ability to map departments at user role level. So everyone should be familiar with agent roles, specifying the permission sets that an agent has to Halo. Fairly recently, I think in the second half of last year, we added the concept of user roles. So end users can have roles associated to them that allows the templating of things like web access level, and approval and that kind of stuff. And so 2.133 now allows us to map user roles to departments in a similar way to how we're mapping agent roles to departments. And as we can see here, as Connor's demonstrating, at role level, we pick the departments that the user or users with this role will be a member of. And then once we give the user the role in question, they inherit or they are members of the departments set here. So just a bit of a quicker way, I suppose, of allocating users to departments as opposed to going into each individual user.
So I don't really understand this, if I'm going to be honest. Because these obviously are departments for the MSP, right? They're my departments. So why are we assigning my departments to our customers? What was the reasoning behind that, do you think?
So if people aren't aware, this is a good opportunity to highlight the fact that Halo as a company is not just HaloPSA. There's three directions in which the application can sort of be targeted and focused on. So obviously there's HaloPSA for MSPs, but there's also Halo ITSM for enterprise markets and for sort of internal teams. Now, under the hood, it's the same application, it's the same API. And what that means is development work that happens on the ITSM side is inherited on the HaloPSA side and vice versa. It's one of the reasons why HaloPSA has got such an incredible self-service portal, because a lot of that development was targeted for the ITSM side. And this feature was initially developed for the ITSM side. Now, that being said, you can map departments from Azure into Halo. So what you have there is you just have the agent departments, but the departments can also come over from your Azure tenant, and you'd have those you'd have those departments in that drop down as well. I don't think that this is going to be as widely used by the MSP community as it will by those leveraging Halo ITSM, but it's here and it's worth mentioning.
Exactly that. Thank you for answering so eloquently, Morgan. And again, it's really important to note with that setting, by the way. So sometimes if you're looking at the release notes thinking, why the hell have HaloPSA done this? Like, an MSP would never use it. Well, you're not just seeing PSA release notes, you're seeing Halo's release notes. What I do know, and I don't know how much I should know about this, but Halo CRM is the product, is getting some more attention now, if you will. And I think that development is also going to really impact on the PSA side of the business, because there's going to be a lot more focus on that area of the business. And what's really exciting about that is you end up with these three different areas. So the ITSM being the more enterprise internal IT, you've got the PSA, which for the most part, a lot of the focus has been kind of like billing. That's kind of what, MSPs really need. And then you've got the CRM side now, which is getting some more love. And it's like, this is really exciting. So although we've got the different arms of Halo, it excites me when I hear that, the CRM team's getting some more love. I'm like, great, because it allows the PSA team not to have to focus on that massive module, and then they can focus on other things. So it's really cool. I love to hear it. So thank you very much for that, Morgan. I'll jump in now then. I don't even know where to begin. This release note, it's just like, WhatsApp via Twilio integration is the featured one of version 2.134. Yeah. If you need to bring, and I suppose actually it's worth mentioning, text in the UK is kind of dead, right? Texting is very much a lost art in the UK. We do WhatsApp. WhatsApp is still a medium we use, but I would say in America, from a service perspective, so from a support perspective, texting is very much still used. So we've set up a lot of integrations with Twilio and stuff over the past couple of years to pull and to ingest and digest, I can't think, my head's full on shoulders, to bring in and let out emails, text, Jesus, for text to come in and out of Halo using Twilio. So the fact we can now do that with WhatsApp as well just means you've got more communication channels feeding inside and outside of Halo, just to make your workflows a little bit easier. That was a mouthful. I'm going to let you keep talking now, Morgan. It's easier for me.
I think it's worth mentioning as well that I think that feature was initially developed for the CRM side. So touching on that previous point, this is a CRM enhancement. If you're using Twilio, if you're using WhatsApp Business, then great. Again, I don't think that is one of the more relevant features for HaloPSA. Again, it's called it, it's there. One that I want to talk about, if we go down, we're going to be a bit all over the shop here, but let's talk about milestone billing, right? I want to clarify this. So 2.134 has introduced one type of milestone billing. Now, people will see that milestone billing is available, and they might think that it works in a certain way, but in fact, it will work in a different way. And what I mean by that is the milestone billing that has been implemented in this version is specifically for T&M projects. So, Connor, if you want to go to a project, I think there's a ticket type setting to enable milestone billing within a project. So hopefully most people, if not all people, are using milestones in our projects now. So if I think it's in the settings tab. I'm still getting to grips with these.
This has changed. Oh no, why has this done this to me? I was joking with Tim about this yesterday. Like, I've used Halo for this long now that my builds are muscle memory now. I know where to go because the thing's there. I know why you're doing it, but you're now moving things all over the place. And for me, I don't look like I don't know what I'm doing, which I clearly don't. Enable milestones. Yeah. Okay, that's done. Enable milestone billing. There we go.
That's it. Yeah. So, how this works is, as I mentioned, it's based on T&M projects. It's based on the billable labor of a project being linked to the milestone in question. So how it works is when we're setting up milestones in a project, if we're using milestone billing, we have an option to specify a value at milestone level. And then the tasks that we allocate to that milestone will only become billable once the milestone has been completed. And furthermore, only actions up to and including the value set at milestone level will be billed. So it's basically preventing project tasks from being billed before the milestone's complete, and preventing the amount that they are billed at from exceeding that set at milestone level. So yeah, and here when we're setting our milestones up, we've got a value box now, and there's been a bit of confusion here. I've dealt with a couple of support tickets regarding this recently, where people were expecting that amount to be billed. We're going to be introducing other means of milestone billing, I hope later on this year, where we start linking sales order lines to milestones, such that, you know, you bill 25% of the project up front, 25% of the milestone one's complete, etc. And that will link back to the sales order line. At the minute, that's not how this works. This looks at billable actions with a charge type applied to them. So just wanted to clarify that.
I might really also demonstrate this, but yeah. Milestone 1 has the ticket in its second task. That is done there. I can save that. So I've not played with this at all, so I'm learning this with everyone. So in a milestone, we've set a value of 1,000, whatever currency we have in the system, right? And you're telling me that this isn't going to be the build amount?
Correct.
So what's the point of having a value in here?
That is the cap. If you put 2,000 pounds, dollars, 2,000 money worth of actions, only 1,000 would build.
So we can have a ticket, and again, something you've got to bear in mind in your build paths is, although these are projects, if you've got billing plan combinations set up, the charge rates could be caught against that contract. So again, you're going to have to really think about how you're building this out. But if I do remote support and do 4 hours, for instance, and just say that's in progress, well, we've currently billed for 4 hours. What's the value of that 4 hours? Well, that's determined by the remote support charge rate. So in this build, I'll just whip through here very quickly, I'm looking at, well, 50 times 4, so 200. So what I'm going to imagine is that nothing's billable yet because we've not hit that 1,000 cap.
No. It won't be billable yet. And let's just double check that. Let's go to the invoices module.
Well, let me just close off this task, shall we?
Okay. Well, okay, fine. So what I was going to say is it won't be billable yet. And the reason it's not billable yet is because the milestone hasn't been completed. So when you close the task, then the milestone will be marked as complete. Then we should see it go into a new area of ready for invoicing.
Let's give it a go, shall we? Complete task. So we're expecting 200 quid to be billed.
Let's have a look.
If we just go back to our project very quickly. The milestone.
Check that milestone tab. Let's see if it's been marked as
milestones completed. There we go.
It's complete. Nice. So now if we go to the invoices module, we go to the milestones. That's it. Brilliant. Why?
And this is why these are in beta.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because it's not hit the 1,000. Maybe that's what it is. I've not used this. You're getting this live from us, gentle friends. Let me read it. I haven't read it. I didn't know this was a thing. What I can tell you, as a side note, is that milestones are now being able to be edited in the template. I'm not sure what version that's in. We'll see that down the line. But that'll make this also a bit more usable. So in Ticket Tight, you can have milestone billing. Fantastic. Each milestone can have a value set against it. Once completed, it then can be billed.
No, when I got it the wrong way round.
Up to and including the final action that takes it over the value.
Yeah, not under. It's not a cap. It's a minimum. Sorry.
It's a minimum. Yeah. Cool.
That makes more sense. So if we change that to like 200.
I'm not going to give my insights for this video. I'm just going to agree and say, yep, sure. So if I change this here to, well, 50. That. So let's do 21 hours. 21 hours, 21 hours, 21 times 50 should show us in invoicing milestone billing absolutely nothing.
All right, let's go back to the project.
Let's say there's nothing else in here a second. No. Okay. Back to the project we go.
Is it closed? Your project is closed. Yeah.
Let's do a quick recalculate billing. See if that has any impact on this.
Completed. Yes. That's the value. That is the task that you closed off, right? 2334. Yes.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
21 hours and a minute.
Is the project, has it got that project hierarchy set?
Has it got that project hierarchy set?
It's a task.
Let's make that project hierarchy a project, and let's make that task a task. Fine. Milestones. Ta-da!
There we go.
So
just for the, go on.
I'll let you've got the stage today. I'm giving it all to you, Morgan.
I was just going to say, the project hierarchy thing that I just mentioned, just to clarify that, the concept of that project hierarchy option in Halo is the top ticket in the chain. So you've got parent, child, grandchildren, you've got a whole chain of tickets. The sort of the oldest, the highest in the chain that is a project needs to have that project hierarchy set of project. And the reason for that is you can imagine a subtask that has a parent of task, that has a parent of project, that has a parent of opportunity, that has a parent of incident. And we had some complications last year where we didn't know where to stop in that chain. So it's like, well, what do we actually, if we're just billing for tasks, where do we stop? If we're billing for the whole project, do we bill for the project, or do we bill for the incident? Or, you know, where do we stop in that chain? And the answer to that is we stop, in terms of project billing, we stop at the top ticket in the chain. And that top ticket in the chain should have a project hierarchy of projects. That's how Halo knows that everything beneath it is a task or a subtask. And that thing, that ticket with project hierarchy of projects, as Connor's showing there, is the overarching project. And then any parents of or grandparents, etc., of that ticket are not pertaining to the project. Their opportunities, their service tickets, etc. So that's what that's doing there.
You can tell if you've got it set up or not, and we should have probably thought about this, but if you ever go to like projects, it's not going to do it now. There we go. If you ever go to like milestones, you'll get this pop-up and it says to invoice projects, there must be at least one project or ticket type with the project hierarchy set to project. You'll see this because they introduced this setting, I think, in the October release last year, September-October release last year, and this just drove everyone insane because it would just pop up whenever you click ready for invoicing. You'd get this pop-up every time, and it's like, why? Well, the why is literally that. So what you want to do is go to config tickets, ticket types, find the project, and you want to change the hierarchy to the project to be the parent or the project. So just to reiterate, just for everyone on this call, this video, what we've said is there's now milestone billing. And with milestone billing, what we've said is you have a project, and on that project you have milestones. Where's my project gone? Project. I've lost my project. There we go. Project. And we have milestones. On a milestone, we can set a minimum value. I'm going to make a feature request today to rename this to be minimum value. Minimum value, and basically it means once we amount to that value, then we'll invoice. Now I'm going to throw my neck on the line here and say I think this is rubbish, because if you come under budget, you're never going to invoice for it. But that's by the by. I'm not going to. That's me. If you say it's 1,000 but you only do 19 hours, so you don't hit the 1,000, you're never going to invoice for the project. So there's problems with this, but it's a start. And it's still in beta, and there's room for change.
I'm of a similar opinion. This is not. When I thought that milestone billing was implemented, this is not how I thought it was going to be implemented. But the reason is that there are different ways that people want to achieve milestone billing in Halo. There are MSPs that wanted exactly this. They specify values for milestones, and they only bill once the value has been met. And so that's what we've done in this case. Like I say, this isn't the be all end all of milestone billing. There's going to be other ways in which it can be leveraged, and we will discuss those when they're in a release. So yeah.
And what I will do is I will do what I always do and give feedback to Halo, whether they like it or not. A few cool things that I'm going to suggest, is the ability to either minimum value or milestone complete. Either we've completed the milestone, i.e. we're billing this value, or we hit this minimum value. Again, there's things to think about. There's no point going through it right now because these things may never see the light of day. But cool, milestone billing is a start.
Yep. There's another small one that I've noticed, seemingly small, that I've noticed that could be quite useful. Top levels can be added for notification criteria. That's quite nice. So I suppose, again, it's worth mentioning that when we talk about notification criteria, that is criteria for various different parts of the system. So the same criteria for notifications, it can be specified for webhooks, can be specified for runbooks. So I imagine that this option is actually available in a few different places. And I've seen a few MSPs start to leverage the concept of, there's a couple of ways that I see top level used primarily. One is managed versus unmanaged clients. That one comes up quite a lot. And another one is this sort of concept of pods, where customers are placed into a pod either via a grading or just via, to basically allow your teams to work with a smaller subset of clients. It improves the relationship that the client has because they find themselves speaking to the same people more frequently. And more generally speaking, top levels are a mechanism to group and organize your customer lists. I quite like the idea of this because you can start to notify certain individuals of events happening at top level. And yes, Colin's just highlighting there, that option doesn't have to be on. In config users general, we enable top level. So if you can't see that option in your customer's area, that checkbox is probably not checked. But yeah, you can group your customers, and now you can have notifications and events firing based on not only the customer in question, but the top level that customer is a member of.
So we can make a top level under our customers, call it managed IT. And then what we can do is we can group our customers, and there's currently nothing in here. So we can go to areas, which is the default for everyone, and say actually Acorn Construction is a managed IT client. And the setting that's come, or the notification change that's come, is you could say actually notify these people if we get a managed IT client email inbound, email these people if we get an unmanaged IT request inbound. So it's just giving us, and again, top level has been one of them things it's been here forever, but has only recently, I would say in the past sort of 6 months, started to get a lot of traction. I'm going to call out Joe Burns for that in New Morgan. I think he's been instrumental in your ear to get these changes in, which is great, because I used to use top level for a segregation perspective, but never really had a massive requirement or need to do anything with it. But seeing all the changes come now, so again, just to iterate on that, if we talk about ticket views, ticket lists, we can now filter this by top level. So we could say only show me certain customers in managed IT. That's now going to alerts and notifications, as I say. And what's great about that is it means we can really start grouping our customers into little subsets and having a customized experience for them. So I think it's great. Again, small quality of life, but a massive impact if you really need it. And again, I'm all for having more granularity. The more I can do, the better it is for me, because then we can make all these funky and wacky solutions for people. So cool. Milestone billing, nice to see it. Top level notification, really useful. What else are we chatting about? Removed unmatched combination setting from contract billing plans is not required. Pardon? I think... No, I don't know. I kind of know, because I know there's a bunch of issues with contract billing plans. But what I don't know, and I'm sure you can check your internal dev ticket to understand what the original question was. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even a Mendy request, to be honest. Purely because I know me and him have been chatting in abundance about this stuff recently. But while you're looking at that and trying to understand, I will have a quick scan through this list to maybe talk something that we do know about. Reserve quantity.
I know who wrote that note.
Reserve quantity can now be edited on a sales order line. Yep, it is what it is. Move the web announcement on the sales service portal to be above the contact information fields. Okay. Added a setting to the API applications to allow anonymous access. This can be used when you have more than one self-service portal and require anonymous access to vary depending on the portal. Interesting. Added date search parameters to sales order, POs, and supplier endpoints. Sales order and POs filters by last modified. Ooh. Does that mean if I go into here, I can filter by the date?
The notes on our development ticket for that removed unmatched combinations is precisely as much as what we're reading there.
Okay.
I've got no idea. I mean, let's see.
Well, if you need remove unmatched combination settings from contract billing plans as not required, you're in luck because it's in this version. Yeah. If you don't know what it means, sorry, you're out of luck. We'll confirm after this call and I'll put it in the comments of this video below.
So there was a setting for contract billing plans for unmatched contract. I think I might know what this is referring to, maybe. I don't know. It just makes no sense.
We'll skip past it. We'll put some notes in the comments below about what it might mean after we look into it a little bit more.
It's reassuring for the community that even we have absolutely no idea what some of these changes refer to. So, yeah.
Well, this is the problem. So what people won't realise is that we used to script these. I say script, but what we used to have is I had Robbie going through all these release notes. He would write down all the ones that he thinks really important. I would then go through it with a tooth comb, make sure I understand it. Anything I don't would then be passed to Morgan. Morgan would then go through all the release notes, go through them all and add the notes, and then we would record. And we never had a stage like before where we don't know what we're doing, so it could be like 2 or 3 takes. The problem with that is very time consuming. So you're seeing it live now. You're getting the raw cut of me and Morgan going, we have no idea what this is. So moving on from that one, what else have we got, Morgan? I need to give the stage back to you. I do not want to get back in the habit of taking over today.
Sure. But I mean, I'm looking at the actual change in the back end. It's just a setting that's been hidden. So yeah, we'll drop some notes down. And another one that I've had some direct experience with that I think is quite a handy change is a new set of variables for including the term over which a recurring quote period or line is specified for. So what do I mean by that? When we're constructing our quotes and proposals, we can mark lines as being recurring. And when we mark, or we can add recurring products. When we're adding those lines to our quotes and proposals, we have the option to specify a term, a number of periods over which the line is applicable for. So it might be, it might be like hardware rental, right? Where you're going to be paying monthly, but you're paying monthly for 12 months, or it might be licenses or something like that. So yeah, in here we have our billing periods. And we also have the number of periods. There's an option just below that specifies the number of periods. Yeah. So what these new variables do is they multiply the price of the recurring lines by the periods, the number of periods that they are applied for. So we can do that at line level. That's been around for a little while, but we've now got this option to provide the totals for those. So how it worked before is we could specify at line level the amount over the term, but then the subtotal at the bottom looked like it was for just one of those periods. Now we can multiply the subtotals by the terms as well. So yeah, if you're selling services, if you're selling recurring products, whether that's rentals, licenses, whatever it is, you'll now be able to return to the customer the cost over the whole duration. Yeah. I don't know if you had any comments there, Connor.
I think this was always available to show on invoices, but it was lacking on quotes. I think that's kind of what happened here. So we're doing a lot of stuff at the minute with dynamic CSS and really breaking down our quotes. I suppose I'll add a little bit to this. So for those who don't know, if you get into the weeds of building out these templates, and it can get painful, but what you'll notice is there's a section at the top of this page, which basically is dynamic CSS essentially. And what you can add in is you can add in all of these options, and it will basically break up your quote and show you a separate table per thing. So you can have, these are all my one-off costs, these are all my monthly recurring, these are all my annual recurring, and I believe that variable now means we can correctly show the sums under this per quote, because I believe that's a bit that was lacking. And when I say I believe that, I'm pretty sure we were the ones that raised that problem. So I think that is what that's doing, because I could always show the total on a quote of a yearly product, but I couldn't show it per breakdown. I think it's been a minute since we've been doing this, but I think that's what that's solving. Test it. More variables, the better. Is the takeaway on that one. Happy with that one, Morgan?
Yeah. What else we got?
Let's jump up one then. Added to-do list groups. Hallelujah. About time is the word on that one. So you can add to-do list to tickets. You can now add to-do list groups to tickets, which means you can now have multiple to-do lists on a ticket, basically. There's also been some more stuff added to this, and I'm bad because I read the release notes all the time, but in one of the versions we can upload to-do lists. So is that even a thing now? I don't even know. I've lost the plot these days. Let's have a look in the configuration quickly. So if we go to tickets and ticket templates, to-do list, you can add an ad hoc, add a to-do list from an existing, add a to-do list group, add a to-do list group, add a group. Ooh. Group 1. And then within here, oh, look at this. Praise Morgan. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful.
It's still in beta.
It's still in beta.
Let's just clarify that. Yeah.
Something else I should really add, by the way, to anyone watching. I sit on like the dev build, I think this is 141. So if you ever notice any really, really weird stuff, it's because I'm like, it's not even beta I set on for this build. I don't use this build. This is for basically these videos. We'll double check that. You see, this is I kind of love this format now. They kind of see what am I doing? They kind of see the pain I have to go through as a consultant every day. So let's just go back to them templates. Let's find this one here. Yeah, this is a thing, isn't it? What if I delete that one? Yeah, there we go, look. There's workarounds. Add a new to-do list group. Add this one here. We'll call this group 3 to annoy everyone in the chat. We'll do that there. We'll do edit. We'll do add. And we'll do need to fix to-do lists. It needs a little bit of love. But what this now allows us to do is actually start to have better looking or functional tickets, right? So for those who don't know, you could always click the dots in the top right, and you could always add a to-do list item manually to the ticket. So, you know, we could do this. Sorry, I genuinely thought this was a real ticket from a customer of mine in this environment. I just died a bit inside. To-do list item, send kickoff email, right? And what that does is that adds it here, adds it down here to the to-do list. Now you can customize your interface so you have kind of 2 menus deep. I think a lot of people have that out of the box. But the idea is you can have these to-do lists, and then obviously you can add in from templates if you wanted to. So, you know, you could pick the templates from here, and then you end up with these nice little groups that you can reorder and move as your heart desire. So it's still in beta. Clearly a little bug with that one there. Could be the version I'm on, could just be a thing. It'll be fixed before it's released into stable, I'm sure. I'll just pass this video to the dev team, be like, we found a lot of things today. I need to take the stage again, but I'm going to let you talk about it because people won't understand how big this is. Added assets to the report builder. Now, I write a lot of reports, and when anyone goes to me, can you write me an asset report, I die a little bit inside, because writing asset reports are the most complicated things on this planet, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to give you the stage again, Morgan. Let's talk about added assets to the report builder.
A little bit of context. I think the assets area of the database is one of the earliest parts of the database. So it's one of the few legacy net help desk architecture points, right? We're in the process of actually completely redefining it, as you'll be pleased to know, Connor, and me. I'm exactly the same. Yeah. As soon as anyone, I'm pretty sure the assets area of the database is how I learned to pivot tables. It makes no sense. You're joining X type on Y type equals T.
Oh, it's
bad. It's bad. But
I'll just show for the video what.
Oh, great. Alpha build. Let's not forget.
Well, while you keep talking, I'm just going to jump into my sandbox that is not on such a version, just to show the lovely people at home what I mean. This build works.
So it's always been rather difficult to be able to report on particularly asset fields. Custom fields against an asset are a lot easier to report on, but as soon as you start picking out those fields that are particular to a certain asset's type, things can get very complicated very quickly until 2.134. So now we can start to leverage the assets area of the database for via the query builder without any knowledge of SQL. And what's quite nice about the query builder is once you've added the fields in and specified your conditions and criteria, it will actually return back to you the SQL. So you can see how messy it is under the hood, and you can also see here.
There's something really funny. Joe, years ago from Halo, gave me a line of SQL for basically returning like custom fields of assets, and it's in my production as a report called adding random ass fields to assets. It's just this long string of SQL that I've just saved forever. When I saw the release notes, I tested it, and that same string is what's being used, and I'm like, yes, it was just like this really nice thing. But this seemingly simple report, customer site, asset tag, and asset type, I mean, this is a little bit extreme, but like all the asset reports you go to are like, right, so I can't just get the asset name from a table then. I guess I'm doing all this other mad stuff. So adding that in now, for those who don't know, I suppose, you can go to the reporting. I don't know why I'm in this build. I should probably get out of this build. If you go to the reporting section in HaloPSA, you can do new report in the top right. And what we're looking to do is pick a data source. And something that Halo started last year was the query builder. Now, it's still very early doors for this. You're kind of locked into a single table. a little bit subjective is that comment, but you know, there's not a lot of diversity with it. So we're reporting on tickets or we're reporting on actions. What we're not reporting on with tickets is like how profitable it is, because that's needing invoice data. So you kind of got to, they're simple reports, but for most people it's a really good foundation to start from. But the biggest one in here for me, to be honest, is the asset one now. Tickets and actions, there's loads in the repository. Invoice and quotes and POs, there's loads in the repository. Assets there is, but whereas you can just usually get by modifying the other reports, assets has always been a bit of a minefield. So if you go in here, oh my god, I think my build just broke again. Yeah, this build's fantastic. Assets, next, fields, go. We're having trouble. It works in not the version I'm on, but go in here. I need to report this to Tim. I'm like, do you know this build's really bad? Query builder.
Yeah.
Assets. You will click next, and what you will then be able to do is select the fields you want. I'll demonstrate that very quickly in the sandbox on the older version of it. Actually, I think this is a beta build. I might actually just sit in here for the rest of today. New, assets, data source, query builder. There we go, assets. Then what you'll do is you'll click next. And then in here, you can select what fields you want to pull from the assets. I nearly said assets table then, but that would be a lie. From your assets, so you could pull the device ID, the device status. I don't know, let's just say key field 1, 2, and 3. Save that. Do next. Do next. Save in the top left. And then you start getting the data. And what's really good to know, as Morgan mentioned, is you can always go back to your data source. You can change it to write custom SQL, and then you're presented with the data. So one of the things that I had saved was kind of like this part here, which is an easy bit. But once you start needing some more complicated fields, this SQL gets a little bit mental. So yeah, it's amazing that assets is in here now. I feel sorry for the guy who had to write this in. If it was you, Morgan, I hope you had a nice day doing it. But essentially, this again, it just helps our partners write reports themselves. You know, we try and not offer report writing services because they can be really time consuming and expensive, but we do it. So seeing this query builder come in here now is utterly fantastic. I'm going to sit in this build for now, Morgan, for the rest of this call, because that other one is clearly broken.
Maybe another one worth talking about is the introduction of OLAs. So this is a feature that was developed for the ITSM side for enterprise markets, but I think it's something that MSPs could absolutely leverage. MSP is very concerned with time tracking and making sure that they're sticking to their agreements. For the longest time, we've simply had 2 metrics to track against, really, 2 native configurable metrics, an initial response time and a resolution time. And that works for the most part. But if you're looking to track more complex targets towards perhaps a project or just, you know, a problem or something like that, you can basically now set targets within a workflow at stage or step level. Now, I haven't actually read these notes. I've just seen OLAs and it's like, okay, that's cool. Let's talk about that. So
yeah, I've not gone through it either, to be honest.
Let's freestyle it.
I had a brief read this morning and was like, I'm never going to use that. But now I need to be more optimistic because you've sold me it, Morgan. That I now need to add in targets in my steps. I suppose the thing to think about is in this here we have triage to resolves as the full swoop of ticket open, ticket closed. But what you could say is from triage to in progress, we want to be hitting an internal SLA. So you might have public facing SLAs, which is 8 hours till we respond. But internally, you might want to bench it at 1 hour. So you now have the different levels of, they're not SLAs because this isn't really an SLA, but they are targeted times per thing. So like triaging a ticket. So freestyling it, back to you, Morgan. I'm going to shut up, else I'll just take over.
Yeah, I just sort of off the dome. I guess something else would be if you are, well, firstly, if you're an MSP that is more concerned with ITIL alignment, this is a step in the right direction. And secondly, uh, if you're implementing problem management and part of that is identifying the problem, writing an RCA, sending out communications, and closing the problem, you're probably going to want all of those metrics tracked independently. And so this would be a great mechanism to achieve that. So let's go to a workflow. Let's see if it's how easy or difficult it is
one
to
thing
configure.
very quickly. We can configure a workflow, we can set a target. Target is to track if overlays have been met. Each target can be associated with the workflow stage or step. The target is for steps, you specify multiple steps, fine. Both cases, yep, whatever. Particularly the workflow moves to the end stage or step, we've been assigned to workflow history is added to the database. Added to the database.
Okay, fair enough. So I guess, so again, we've spoken about this point multiple times in these recordings. Halo, we pride ourselves on our speed of development, and sometimes what that means is introducing 80% of something in January and the other 20% in March or April, as opposed to waiting till April for that last 20%. And what I mean by that is, I suppose all of the information that you would need to track that is in Halo in the database, but I guess we just haven't added a UI component to it, to the ticket yet.
Oh, here, there's a tab. There's a targets tab. I was thinking it would be on the workflow step. Silly me. So, we can have this called, I don't know, response target. And we could say that, I don't know what sequence that is. If it starts in the new bug and it ends in testing, the target is 2 hours. New bug and testing.
Yeah, so I guess there we're
new
saying that it takes, we're targeting 2 hours to get from new bug to testing. So as you can see, well, I say that, I was about to say that. I guess you can do it from new bug to vendor says fixed or something like that. I mean, it's not a good example, but
you can add multiple actually. So we could say actually we also want to track from new bug to vendor says fixed and set a target of 4 hours. So what we're starting to build here is internal time tracking of our workflows. Now, unfortunately, they're currently logged to the database, which means if you want to leverage these, you're using runbooks and digging the data out of the database. But as Morgan said, they have the data now. So we could now do things like, well, in the future, notifications and changing of statuses of the ticket would be really cool. Internal SLA breached or whatever you need, you know. So yeah, it's cool to have it. I'm not sure I love it being on a separate tab, but that's a Connor bear. But again, I've said it many times before myself. Having the data there is the greatest starting foundation for stuff like this, and then Halo kind of work, and I shouldn't really say this, but they'll kind of like dangle a carrot of something they're doing, and if no one mentions about it or says it's crap, it just kind of sits like that because clearly no one needs it. If they get inundated with we need this, we need this, we need this, you'll find it'll quickly get a lot of love because the community, us, actually really like the idea. I was chatting with Tim about this yesterday a little bit. There's certain things that, you know, have been roadmapped for so long, but no one's really ever mentioned it. So there's not a priority for you guys, although it's a nice to have, it's not a necessity. And there's so much out there in the world, right, of AI and all this new stuff. It's where do you hedge your bet? So stuff like this is cool. And again, because it's the ITSM team doing it, they have more of a focal point on getting it really dialed for their enterprise customers. So what we'll probably see is iterations come into this pretty quickly. I think. Swooping comments there.
Yeah. Yeah. No promises.
No promises. I'm just a third party, so it's even easier for me.
Yeah. You can say what you want.
I can say what
Isn't
I
that
like.
right, Morgan? Yeah. guess, yeah.
Anything
Uh,
else in 2134? Anything that makes us excited?
I let's have a quick browse through. I think we're coming towards the end. Let's have a browse one more time.
That's really interesting. Adding a
So
setting to allow automatic user anonymization after a certain number of days with no interaction. Now, no idea where that setting is, but if you
I don't.
haven't interacted with an end user for like 180 days, you can assume they've left the business. This could be internal or external, right? So you could automatically anonymize them in the system. Now, I don't think I would ever do that, but it's an option now. Where the option is, mystery. Got to go find it.
Let's have a look. Config users general automatically anonymize users after a certain number of days. When checked, you specify the number of days.
Here we go.
I
Automatically
don't like
anonymous users after.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm pretty sure anonymizing a user can't be undone,
It can't.
and it also will anonymize them on all of the tickets that they have added notes to.
Yeah.
I would opt in for marking
Inactive.
the user as inactive. Exactly.
Yeah, I think so.
Then
I
you
think
still
this should
have
be
that.
automatically make inactive after X amount of days. Because we can still build reports and lists and views to show tickets from them, but they'll just have like a no entry sign or basically what it is to show it. So, but
So just be careful if you're enabling that. Yeah, just be careful.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
But we do now have a data compliance settings area. Wow, what a tongue twister. So it means they can now add more things in here. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm not sure I found that one. It is what it is. Setting that ability for the yeah, not going to talk about that. Anything else? Anything else?
Maybe we'll leave it there. As always, for the people watching, if you're looking in this version and you do want to get some insight into any of the features that we haven't discussed, then obviously Connor or myself would be happy to answer those. But yeah, what do you think?
I think finally then, this is interesting. I don't know why you would need it, but there's clearly a reason for it. Added the option to call match on a third party ID. Now, typically, if a call's coming inbound, you'll match on the number because that's logical. But there's clearly a reason why a third party ID is being set here. I'm not sure what integration that's using it for, but if you need this thing, it's now here.
Let me see if I can dig anything up on the development ticket. Added a setting.
I've never had this requirement, but typically if it's being added in here, there is a requirement.
Let's have a gander. So
curious. So curious. So while Morgan looks for that, we do have next video is going to be on version 2.135. So if you are eager and you do watch this video on version 2.134 and there is something you really want us to make sure we talk about on version 2.135, please add a comment down below and I will try my hardest to remember when I meet with Morgan. Again, we've changed the pace of these calls a little bit. We're trying to make them more conversational. You'll see us troubleshooting a little bit live. You'll see me in a QA environment that I will probably never use anymore because that was painful. But if you don't like the format, please just let us know. Not guarantee I'm going to change it, but we are trying to make these valuable for yourselves. So if you have watched it this far in the video, I really do appreciate your time. And with that one, Morgan, have you found anything on third-party caller ID or why it exists?
Yeah, so it's because Avaya, never heard of them until now.
Yep.
pass over an Avaya ID for the user. So
Interesting.
we're looking to match on that. So that is, that's for that.
So if you use Avaya, never heard of it. If you use Avaya, you can now use call pop-up, basically. If you don't know what that is, that's a video for another day. And with that being said, I will let Morgan go and enjoy the rest of his day. Morgan, thank you once again, sir, for taking your time out to help me with these videos for the most part, to be honest with you, because you can do something I can't, and that is look at the ticket to understand what the hell is going on. But also, you're much more knowledgeable than I am with all the inner workings of Halo, so it is very much appreciated. Any closing remarks for yourself today, sir?
No, a pleasure to be back, and I'll see you on the next one, I suppose.
Indeed. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a beautiful day. I've been Connor Fagan, and that's been Morgan Aspinall. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.